welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am going to be working on a leftovers to layout. This is a hop that Scrapping on the Fly, my friend Kristen, created because, like most of us, she has tons of leftover bits and pieces lying around in her stash that need to be used up. I am going to be working with leftovers from a layout I did last month for the 31 days of sketches. I was working with Jen Hadfield's The Avenue, and these are the pieces that I had left over, including the little paper strips, or as Janet Madison calls them, border strippers. These have a hole in the middle. It will be okay because I'm going to create a centered square or a rectangle in the center, and it'll cover up that part. But I am hoping to use up quite a bit of these pages. Now this was from the same collection, but I had created a banner style card for Buttons Galore and More back in 2020 or 2021 for their design team, and I saved this piece because I save just about everything until I get towards the very end of a collection, and then I'll start throwing tiny bits and pieces away. I also have on my desk my milk glass cake stand of itty bitty wood veneer pieces, and I'm hoping to pull out some pieces to put on this layout as well. These are so fun for me to look at and to dig through, and I've just kind of left them on the cake stand. They're normally in this jar. So I am going to speed up the camera and we're going to get started. So I pulled some of the wood veneer off the cake stand, and I just kind of laid them there in the corner just so that I would have some handy. I don't think I'll use that arrow. It's just a piece that came out. And I'm going to have to apologize. I did not zoom out enough on my camera for you to see everything that I'm doing. But what I'm doing is I am basically wallpapering a piece of white cardstock with my leftover pieces to create a multicolored background. That leftover green piece that I had cut a large banner out of, I'm cutting about 1 inch per piece out of the bottom of that, and I'm going to put it in the middle between the two strips of the peach gingham. As I was getting ready to glue those strips down, I remembered last minute kind of that 6x8 paper pad is not truly 6x8, and I'm glad that I remembered because you can see I have a little bit of a gap in the center just above and below the two holes from the gingham strips. Now my text piece is actually going to hang off the top of that white cardstock, and I'm going to flip it over and trim it off so that I have my background complete. So next, I'm going to use this mustard yellow cardstock that I found in my scrap bin. And I'm going to trim it down to create a rectangle. Each square is about 5.5 by 5.5. And I get those on there and I realize that's too big. So I take the two pieces that I trimmed off. They're a little bit smaller, and I use those instead. And I will just put those other pieces back into my scraps later. So now I want to go ahead and mat my photos. Now I don't have two pieces of this. This is a leftover from a Pink Crush Studio layout that I created, and I am just going to use it to mat one photo. But first, I got an ATG on my photo, and I had to use my adhesive remover to get it off. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this photo down onto this piece of scrap, and this basically removes this scrap out of my supplies. And I want to say or tell you that these scraps have been sitting on my desktop because I've been too lazy to sort them into my color folders for my scraps. Now this polka dot piece I'm gonna kind of place up here, and then this other piece, which I think is a Simple Stories pattern paper that I used in another layout, I'm gonna kind of plop those in the middle to put some more pattern in there. And then I'm going to use the backing to this hip kit embellishment pack that I had opened and already used up, but I'm going to use it to mat the second photo. I printed 3 photos, but I'm going to end up only using these 2. I know that you can't see what I did down there in that bottom left hand corner, but I was layering up some of those strawberries that I had shared at the beginning of the video. Those strawberries I purchased a long time ago. I think I got them in Georgia at the PX, and they're from Martha Stewart Crafts. So I had, I think, 4 of those, and I'm going to put 3 of them on this layout. I also have a bunch of stickers. Now I had pulled all things strawberries out for a layout that I created last month of us picking strawberries in the strawberry field at a farm during a homeschool trip. And so I had all this stuff back out on my desk, and instead of putting it away, I wanted to see if I couldn't use it up. Now I cut my title out of that green cardstock that I shared at the beginning of the video, and I'm kind of trying to decide where I want it to go. I want to get both words on here, but of course it's dark and it's going to disappear on that floral piece, so I really need to figure out how to fit it on this lighter reddish pattern paper instead. So while I think about that, I'm going to kind of play with these wood veneer pieces and put a couple here and there just to give myself something to do while I'm mulling over title placement. So you saw that I made a decision. I pulled that little leftover bit of crocheted lace out from underneath that left photo, and I'm gonna plop it underneath the word sweet. I'm pretty sure that's where it ends up when I glue everything down, but I'm going to plop it down under there. I'm going to kind of build a small embellishment cluster there as well. So I am going to stop the camera here in a few minutes, and I'm going to glue everything down, and then I'll come back and tell you what I did off camera. So I pointed just before I shut the camera off, and I pointed where I put that tag. I journaled on that tag, added a black and white bow to the top of it, and then I just glued everything down except for those 2 flowers, and I will glue those down in a minute. I decided that that spot up there at the top left was just too bare and needed something. So 2 little flowers sitting on my desk space since February is a good place to start with that. I decided kind of last minute to add these Nuvo drops. I really wanted gold, but of the 10 million colors of Nuvo drops that I do own, apparently gold is not one of them. This one is either an antique bronze or copper. It does look okay when I'm done, but frankly, when they dried, I really wished that I hadn't used them at all, but that's okay. You live and you learn. So those flowers came from a hip kit, club kit. They didn't give them to us in the kit because they had a manufacturing problem, but they did allow us a PDF, and I ran it through my Cameo. I want to thank you for stopping by my channel today. If you liked this video, click that thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you subscribe. If you have any questions or comments about my layout, just drop them below and I will answer them as soon as I can. You have a great day. Bye.